in a quiet corner of the kingdom of Leora. Nestled between rolling green hills and sparkling rivers, there was a castle unlike any other. It wasn't the tallest, nor the grandest, but it had something far more special, a magical garden that bloomed with colours no one could name, and plants that whispered secrets when the wind passed through. This was the home of Princess Lily. Princess Lily was not like the other princesses in the great books of the land. She didn't wear diamonds in her hair or spend hours practicing curtsies. She spent her mornings barefoot in the soil, her fingers gently touching flower petals, talking to bees and butterflies like old friends. The castle staff often said she had a green thumb, but those who truly knew her believed the magic in the garden came from Lily herself. Every morning, she would visit the garden with her small brown satchel slung over her shoulder. Inside, she carried her tools, a wooden trowel carved by her grandfather, a notebook for sketches and notes, and small pouches of seeds that she had collected from her adventures around the kingdom. Her best friend, a fluffy white rabbit named Mallow, always hopped close behind her. One warm spring morning, Lily noticed something strange. A patch of her favourite golden tulips had wilted overnight. These tulips, enchanted with laughter magic, used to giggle softly when the sun rose, but today they were silent. The air in the garden felt different, still and hushed, as though it were holding its breath. Lily knelt beside them, touching their drooping heads with worry in her eyes. "What happened, my little ones?" she whispered. Mallow sniffed at the ground and twitched his nose, then darted off toward the far end of the garden, the part that Lily rarely visited. She followed him past the dancing ferns and whispering vines, past the talking sunflowers and the shimmering koi pond. At the very edge of the garden stood an old wooden gate, wrapped in thorny vines. It was called the Wishing Gate, and beyond it was the Forgotten Grove, a part of the garden that no one had entered in over 100 years. The key to it had been lost long ago, and even the oldest books in the library had only vague stories about what lay beyond. But something was different today. The vines that once tangled around the gate had shriveled, and there, hanging on the rusty handle, was a single silver key. Lily picked it up carefully. It was warm in her hand, and it shimmered faintly, as if it had been waiting just for her. She looked down at Mallow. "Should we go?" Mallow thumped his paw once. Yes. With a deep breath, Lily slid the key into the lock and turned. The gate creaked open, revealing a winding path overgrown with moss and ivy. The light seemed softer here, the air heavier with the scent of ancient blooms. Trees bent gently overhead, as if bowing to welcome her. The Forgotten Grove was breathtaking. Flowers glowed with colours she had never seen before. Pale lavender with silver edges, and roses that shimmered like moonlight. Vines curled into the shapes of animals. Even the rocks seemed to hum softly, like they were singing without words. But something wasn't right. At the centre of the grove stood a stone pedestal. Upon it rested a cracked crystal orb, dim and flickering. As Lily approached, a figure emerged from behind a curtain of weeping willows. It was a tiny woman, no taller than Lily's knee, with wings like glass and eyes like droplets of dew. "You've come," she said softly. "We've been waiting." Lily blinked in surprise. "Who are you?" "I am Thistle, guardian of the grove. Long ago, this part of the garden was the heart of all the kingdom's magic. But when fear grew among the people, they locked the gate and forgot us. Without a keeper, the heartstone cracked, and now the garden suffers." Lily looked back toward the garden path, where the laughter tulips had wilted. "So the garden is losing its magic?" "Yes," Thistle nodded sadly. "And soon, all of Leora will too, unless the heartstone is healed." "How can I fix it?" Lily asked. Thistle flew to the orb and hovered above it. To mend the heartstone, you must gather the 4 petals of power, each one hidden in a different corner of the grove. But be warned, young princess, these petals are protected by ancient enchantments. Only the pure of heart and brave of spirit may retrieve them. Without hesitation, Lily nodded. I'll find them. And so, her magical garden adventure began. The first petal was the petal of joy. Hidden within the meadow of mirrors, the meadow was filled with thousands of small reflective flowers that echoed every movement. As Lily stepped into it, she heard voices, her own fears whispering back at her. You're just a child. You'll never be enough. She paused, closed her eyes, and remembered the laughter of her garden, the joy of her first sunflower, the song she once sang with the hummingbirds. When she opened her eyes, the illusions vanished, and in the center of the meadow, a golden petal floated down into her hand. The second was the petal of courage, deep in the hollow of whispers. This part of the grove was dark and twisted. The trees groaned, and the wind seemed to call her name. But Lily walked forward, whispering calming words to the trees. I'm not afraid of you, she said, her voice steady. I know you're only afraid too. As the grove began to quiet, a crimson petal drifted from above and landed on her palm. The third was the petal of kindness, located in the glade of echoes. There she found reflections of herself, dozens of lilies walking, talking, laughing. But one figure stood apart, a crying version of herself. Lily approached gently and offered her hand. It's okay to be sad, she said softly. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. The crying girl smiled, then vanished, leaving behind a soft pink petal glowing with warmth. The final was the petal of wonder, found only beneath the starlight tree, which bloomed only once every 100 years. Lily sat beneath it as night fell, unsure what to do. She closed her eyes and remembered all the wonder she had ever felt. The way dew sparkled in the morning sun, the way caterpillars turned into butterflies, the hush of snowfall on the castle roofs. When she opened her eyes, the tree had begun to bloom, and a silver blue petal floated down like a falling star. With all 4 petals in her hands, Lily returned to the heartstone. Thistles circled above her as she placed them one by one onto the cracked orb. As the final petal touched the surface, the heartstone pulsed with light. The crack sealed. A beam of magic shot into the sky, and a wave of warmth rippled across the land. Back in the main garden, the tulips giggled again. The sunflowers hummed. The vines swirled in dance. The magic had returned, but more than that, the people of the kingdom began to change. They smiled more. They helped their neighbors. They looked at flowers differently, as if they too were listening. Princess Lily was no longer just the girl with dirt on her hands. She was a hero, but she never wanted parades or statues. Instead, she asked for one thing: to reopen the forgotten grove to everyone. And so, the castle gates were opened, the paths were cleared, and children came from every corner of Leora to see the garden, to talk to the trees, to listen to the breeze. And at the center of it all, Princess Lily stood smiling, her hands still full of earth, her heart still full of magic, knowing that wonder grows best when it's shared.